This is FanCastic, the fancasting podcast where we fancast all your favorite characters from adult fantasy, romantasy, and fiction. I'm your host, Loretta Ann. I'm an audiobook narrator, former actress, and current Hollywood professional. This week, we are fancasting The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So meet me in another realm, and let's make some magic. Hello, mere mortals. Welcome to episode 10 of FanCastic. I am very excited for what is coming up to finish off our season 1. Last week, you heard a new series called Authors Aside. This week, we are back from the book conference, and this episode is coming out with my road trip buddy and friend, Tabitha Rourick. She is the senior manager of clearance and licensing in TV music at Sony Pictures with me. She's actually my direct manager and partner and teammate. Her and I work together. She is teaching me all the ins and outs of TV music licensing and contracts and clearance for big name shows like The Boys, Goosebumps, For All Mankind, big ones, big heavy hitters, as well as, Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, the game shows that Sony is really well known for. Tabitha is not a fantasy reader, but she is a fiction reader. And her and I realized that we both read this book that we will be fancasting this week, which is 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. We both loved this book for a myriad of reasons. Because it's going to be a film on Netflix, we wanted to get ahead of the game and put together who we think would be the perfect cast for Evelyn Hugo. For those of you listening, I highly recommend, if you have not read this book before, please don't listen to this episode. We will be going through the entire storyline and how each character relates to the main character of Evelyn, and there will be spoilers throughout the entire episode. We also do talk a lot about sexuality in this episode, as well as trigger warning for suicide. So please take care while you are listening. If you are not in the right headspace to hear subjects of this, I suggest that you do not watch or listen to this or save it for another time. So, what is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo? 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo became very popular on TikTok and social media when it was released. It immediately sparked rumors of who would be cast as who. And I think one of the main reasons that is because Evelyn Hugo is a character that is largely based on the life of Elizabeth Taylor. So you're looking at your classic Hollywood starlet in this book who is white passing, and that is how she makes her career. So very careful casting is going to be needed to make this adaptation. So I think right away this became something that was huge. This is also a book that largely deals with the queer community and what being queer in the golden age of Hollywood looked like, how it affected people's careers and relationships and choices. Evelyn Hugo is young. She starts at 14 years old. She marries a man who brings her to Hollywood, and she goes through these 7 husbands, while all the while the real love of her life is someone you wouldn't expect. This book has one of the best twists of a book I've ever read, that there's 2 of them. There's like one twist and then one at the very end. Stuck the knife and twisted it. Excellent writing, excellent storytelling. And these characters, you hate them and you love them. And it's just a really great book. So I think I've introed enough and babbled enough. I think we can move into welcoming Tabitha to the podcast and get to talking about how we feel about this book, how we feel about the film coming out, and where our fan casts and choices were as we were building this cast. So let's bring in Tabitha. Welcome to FanCastic.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. We've talked about you coming on and had to find the perfect book, and we did.
Yay!
You witnessed me editing secretly during work hours.
In between your tasks, yes, but
In between my tasks. If I have something to do, I'm not doing this.
you're just a multitasker.
She said to her manager. You were there at the kind of like conception of me coming up with this podcast, and I was like, you'll have to come on. And you said, I don't read fantasy
Wait,
books.
but in honor of this being a fantasy podcast, I wore my dragon shirt.
Heck yeah.
Even though this book has nothing to do with dragons, I'm on theme.
You're on theme. It's fine. It's fine. I'm sure there's a dragon hidden in this
One
book.
of her husbands.
One of her husbands has a dragon tattoo or something weird. Yeah, I'm sure it'll serendipitously connect together.
Yeah.
Another huge reason you're on here is because we work together for Sony Pictures.
Yeah.
You are the senior manager of clearance and licensing. You work on amazing shows, The Boys, Goosebumps,
Yeah.
For All Mankind, Them.
You got to know at
What
least
else
one
do
of
we
them,
have?
right? Like,
One of them, SWAT. Can't forget about SWAT. Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune. All of them.
Yeah.
And you and I tag team that stuff. You do all the heavy lifting, and I make sure everybody gets paid.
For now. I'm giving you this
For now.
stuff.
You're taking me along with you and pulling me along and learning and growing.
Kind of
and
like what you're
within my
doing with me
career.
on this podcast.
100%. And I'm like, come on, books, be on my podcast, do it. Okay, so you work on major shows, clearing music. You and I are very within the machine called Hollywood.
Yes, we are deep.
And deep, so deep.
Yeah.
So we picked a book that, made us think about work. Great.
Yeah.
We have problems. How long ago did you read Seven Husbands?
I initially read it probably about 2 years ago. And then when we talked about doing this, I just listened to the audiobook so I could get a nice little refresher on all the characters to make sure I was picking the right one.
Bless you for doing that because I have no time and I am going off of memories and vibes.
I mean, I think it's like in comparison to your fantasy stuff where you have all of the world building and the different types of characters and whatnot, this is a lot more simple. And so I think it'll be a little easier to just like grasp on the people's personalities.
True. And also, this is one of the best fiction books I've ever read. It was one of the ones that when I was in a reading slump, I hadn't picked up a book that wasn't a celebrity memoir in a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And this felt like such a good transition because it still deals with celebrity and Hollywood and stuff. And the character development in this book is so strong because it has to be. It's
Absolutely.
so centered around all these characters. Yeah, I'm gonna put it on you to kind of hold my hand
Mhm.
through the characters as we cast them and make sure I'm not totally off
Yeah.
from like, why'd you cast that? We don't know that man. That's not even a character trait of his. And I'll be like, I made it up. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know. Another thing that stood out to me, at least for this book, and I would love your thoughts on it, is how it not only is like a great representation of Hollywood and Hollywood in the golden age. It's obviously a fictionalized version of it, but it's pretty accurate and has a lot of names of celebrities back in the day that are mentioned to really help build that world. But it also is a book that is really big in the queer community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would love your thoughts on it, but I know for me, it was really huge in like my sexual identity and owning the fact that I am bisexual, and I did not really realize that or own that or tell anybody till mostly right now. But
Hello.
people very close to me. Hello, hey mom, sorry. I am who I am. I am married to a man. I'm one of those. Sorry. At least I know who I am on the inside, which is maybe why this book really speaks to me. But yeah, I would love your thoughts on that, on the queer community and the popularity of this book.
Yeah, absolutely. I think within the queer community, we're all like, there's this hesitancy, right, of like how out you're going to be. And especially, obviously that's gotten a lot easier as our society has grown around this topic. But I think it does such a great job of highlighting the complexity of how that would have been handled back in the day. This book, is essentially based off of Elizabeth Taylor's life. And all of these different husbands and not really being able to come out, right? And I think it does a great job. I think it was huge for me too, especially being a bisexual. You can struggle with the, am I faking it, or is this real kind of a thing? And so seeing this so beautifully displayed of her loving multiple men, but also loving this woman, it was really impactful, I think.
I agree. I think what you said too about that feeling as a bisexual being like, do I count? Do I matter? And with this, yeah, being loosely based on Elizabeth Taylor, how would it have impacted her career? To me, it's so crazy that they had to make a fictionalized book to sort of address it.
Yeah.
This is fiction, but if it was real,
I mean, that plays
this
into
is
it
how it
even
would feel.
more, that people are still so unwilling to address this, like, they have this person that they have this version of, and you find out that there's something completely different. That happens a lot with the queer community. And so, yeah, even that people have to go to the lengths of having a fictionalized version of this just to even talk about her potentially having this life outside of that is crazy, and it's sad, and I'm glad that we have more media like this out for us, but it's fascinating.
This book also touches on the whitewashing of Hollywood way back. Like way back, Evelyn is of a Hispanic descent
Yep.
and she is white passing.
Hmm.
And that's what makes her able to have her career. There are so many people in Hollywood. That's the same thing for them is I pass as white, so I can get these jobs at be a Hollywood star. It's just crazy to me that, again, fictionalized because we're afraid to really address that this is still happening.
Yeah, absolutely. In today's day and age, there's still a lot of people of color that don't get cast for white roles because it's not specifically outlined what their race might be. And so people just automatically are assuming white, and they're only finding roles of characters that are explicitly like people of color. And like, media shouldn't be like that, right? We all have these
Right.
lived experiences of different things in life, and it's not, obviously there are cultural things that will change, but every character is not just automatically white, and it's sad to see that that still happens today. And obviously
Yeah.
so much more back in the day. I do appreciate how much they touch on that with Evelyn. And in the story, she has a maid that speaks Spanish to her, and you can tell that she picks up on it, but then goes back into the safety zone of, I'm a white woman, I have to pretend being a white woman, essentially.
Yeah. This being a book, the problem with books and the thing that I specifically kind of created FanCastic for was for casting in Hollywood now. When there's so many adaptations of popular books, such as Seven Husbands or Iron Flame or Fourth Wing, and all these things that are getting actual adaptations, everyone's all up in arms about this person has to be a white character and this person has, and it actually doesn't say that.
Yeah.
And it also is only on paper, and there's no historical reference reason
Hmm.
for that person to be white, so they can actually be any color we want them to be.
Yeah.
And I think in this book is you have to follow it in casting to really represent what is written on the page of the characters because it plays into the storyline.
Absolutely.
I think for fantasy it doesn't, because you can be like, the dragon's purple, and you're like, cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not a huge issue because this is a fiction book too. It's a little bit more focused on the reality of now
Mhm.
and the world that we live in rather than like a fantasy world. I'm really interested for fan casting to see what we did with that.
Yeah.
It is going to be adapted. It was going to be a TV series, and then it was ordered in 2021,
Okay.
and they stopped it. They were like, no, we're not going to do a TV series.
Hmm.
And they switched it to a film, which I don't know how you feel about that. I think I would have liked a series better
Oh, interesting. I feel
rather
differently.
than a movie. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Tell me
only
why.
because the large basis of the book is the seven husbands, right? And so, like, hearing Evelyn's story throughout her experience with these guys. And so, once these guys are done with for whatever part of the story they're serving, where do you go from there as a TV series, right? Because it would have to be a limited series if it was TV series. And
Yeah.
like, what, 7, maybe 8 episodes total? Because you're going through each character kind of a thing. And I don't know where you would go after that. I like the idea of it being a film story wrapped up into one.
Yeah, you're right. Let's put our work hats on really quick. From a work perspective, you're right, because it would be in a one season order,
Yeah.
and that's not going to make money for the studio or the production company, and we don't want that. So we're going to do what will make money in like a 1-2 punch,
Yeah.
and that would be a film. So yes, I agree with you.
And like, I think a
It
limited
was
series could be really cool because obviously you can get
totally.
so much more out of the story by doing long episodes and whatnot. But limited series can be so hard to sell. And there is almost no place for this to go after this book. And so to figure it out.
Yeah, Netflix doesn't really do limited series. Not to say that another studio or platform like wouldn't pick it up if it did something like that, but
Yeah.
I did you watch the show Hollywood?
Mm-mm.
Damn.
Okay, I'm writing it down from my list of
Damn, you gotta watch that show. It's on
Okay.
Netflix. They only did one season. They didn't do a second season, and I've never been more pissed off that a show wasn't picked up for a second season.
Had a
I
couple of
watched
those.
it during oh my God. Like this show, it's got there may or may not be somebody from the show that's in my cast.
Okay, we'll
Because
save that.
it is I will say that. But it is golden age Hollywood.
Okay.
And there is a star who is becoming a star.
Okay.
It is the beginning of her stardom. She is a woman of color. And they're kind of deciding how the studios want to handle that. Because back in the golden age, these studios had contracts with their actors, and they would sign, okay, you're going to be on contract with Columbia or whatever. And you would just get told, hey, you're in this movie. Hey, you're doing this one because you worked for them for however long. And she's trying to get one of these contracts, and they're treating it differently because she is a woman of color. That's one facet to it.
Yeah.
There's a actually very famous Hollywood actor that they portray as being closeted as well, and who kind of gives me like Rex North vibes from the book.
Okay.
Very similar like personality. That's not who I picked from it, but very similar personality.
Okay.
And then on top of that, there's an executive producer, studio head, and he is openly homosexual. And you watch his career in real time get affected by him coming out or being outed.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's Jim Parsons who plays the studio. He's got a monologue in one episode that I paused it and like almost threw up. I was like so distraught in like a good way.
Yeah.
I was like so ugly crying that I almost threw up because it's delivered so well about who he is and his identity and his body of work and like how it's being affected. I'm ranting. This is such a good show.
No, yeah, you're making me want to check it
so
out.
good.
Yeah, and it's so funny. It
It's
plays so
good.
much into like literally what we're talking about with Evelyn Hugo. So
It's so much like Evelyn Hugo. That's why when I picked this book up, it wasn't too long after I had watched this series.
oh, okay, yeah,
And Gina recommended to me, hey, you should pick this book up. I think you would really like it. She also was like, are you queer? And I was like, I don't know.
maybe.
I don't know what gives you that impression. I'm not really sure. Do you think I am? Why? Am I pretty? And she was like, I think you should read this book. I read the book and I was like, God damn it, Gina. This is a great book. I needed this book.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, immediately I was in that world because of that show. This is my long way of saying, circling back to Netflix. I'm so happy that Netflix picked it up.
Yeah.
Because I know they know how to do this.
Yeah.
They can do it. And in a way that, and it's the same, I believe, production company that's doing it.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's why they didn't do a second season, because they didn't want it to compete with this as a film.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's supposed to, it's not in production yet because they have not finished casting.
Yeah.
Which wondering what the hell the holdup is. I'm glad. Let us squeak in here and give our fan cast first to
Yeah. Pick
put a
my
note and
option.
pick mine. Who do we know that can send it? Who do we know from casting at Sony that can be like, hey, do you know anyone at Netflix? Someone, here's this, listen to this podcast. Have you heard the casting rumors for it though?
Not at all. So I don't have
Oh my
any
God.
like background into any of this.
Okay. So I'm going to say three of them.
Okay.
A bunch of people really want Selena Gomez as Evelyn
Okay.
Hugo.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which I could see. I could definitely see it with the blonde Hollywood. She's so bombshell anyways.
Yeah.
And like she's with Only Murders and stuff. She's really coming back as an actress.
Yeah.
What do you feel of if she were to be cast as Evelyn?
I think the two things that come to mind immediately is like, there is no world where I feel like I could consider Selena white passing, like even with
I
blonde
agree.
hair and whatnot.
I agree.
And so I get the idea. I like the idea, but like she's not a white passing person with blonde. And that's how Evelyn is able to get through in this. Okay, like I could see it, but then also because this is such a big piece of queer media, I put an emphasis on trying to have queer character or queer actors play some of the queer roles. And
I
so,
love that.
yeah, and I guess I'm ignorant to Selena's status, unsure
Yeah.
if she rides the line of bi and straight or not, but I have viewed her as a straight woman. So I could be wrong about that.
Yeah. We never want to assume, but we have no
And you
idea.
don't have to come out to be true.
Yeah, you don't. It can be within you, Selena. So Selena Gomez, when you're listening to this, sorry for what I'm about to say about Selena Gomez. I don't think she's good enough of an actress
Okay.
to play Evelyn.
Yeah.
I think she's a great actress. I think she's funny. I think she's got her niche. I
Absolutely.
don't think that this is her.
I guess,
I
yeah,
think
she's not mean.
Yeah,
Not that
she's not
mean
mean.
part of her.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't see her as like deep enough and like more existential crisis enough. Selena being the rumored Evelyn, I'd see it. I get it. I wouldn't be horribly mad at it, but I think that there are so many better choices out there. Probably ours.
Okay, what are the other two?
The other two is for Celia St. James. Everyone's saying Jessica Chastain.
Okay.
So I see that. I think our approach to our fan cast, we have a young Celia and an older Celia.
Yeah.
With the age range that's in the book, Jessica Chastain could age up and do older Celia. They might be able to, there's unfortunately AI to make her younger too, and could be one actress. I think that she would be great. However, she has said, I think someone asked her about it recently. It was very recent. And she said it is not a show that she would do specifically because of the queer tones of the book. She didn't feel comfortable. Not that she's against it, but she said that I'm not the representation for that.
Good for her. Nice,
So
your
like,
lane.
Yeah. Yes. I was like, hell yeah. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything bad about her because I love her. No.
Yeah.
Thank you for being mindful of communities.
I will say she was somebody I was considering in my older Celia. And it's not ultimately who I decided on, but she was definitely there. Like, I totally get that as a casting option, but appreciate her not wanting to co-opt queer media.
Yeah. And the third one is for Ernie Diaz. It was rumored that Anthony Ramos.
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
Yes.
He's from,
I gotta look
he was in Hamilton.
Okay.
He's from In the Heights, the movie. And he's most famously recently known for cheating on his fiance.
Boo.
With a sex worker, I believe. Boo. Not the sex working community, but boo.
Just cheating. Like, come on, don't do that.
Yeah.
Also, looking at photos of him, not where I was going with casting Ernie Diaz. So we'll talk about that a little more when we get there.
I agree. I think he's a little scrawny Is that the word I'm looking for?
He's just too much of like a pretty boy, right? And that's not Ernie Diaz.
I would see him as Mick
See, Mick
Rivera.
Yeah.
See him as Mick, but not as Ernie.
Yeah.
So that's the other rumor. Those are the only three that I've seen because
Okay.
I didn't want to dive too much into it and skew my point of view.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm always hoping as a former actress, I'm always hoping that it's new people. That's
Yeah.
people we've never heard of.
Yeah.
Because respectfully, I'm sick of the same 30 people in literally everything right now.
Yeah, so fair.
So it would be great to get some fresh blood. Speaking of fresh blood, let's fucking cast this. I don't know.
Okay,
If
I
that's
was
a good
like,
segue,
fresh
but...
blood. I don't know what we're talking about anymore.
What do you mean? Is
Okay.
there like an initiation for this? Just kidding. We're not that sadistic. I might be,
At
but
least
not online. Not in the public eye. I also like that we both went like a little old Hollywood for us today. Put it on our red lip. Did a little wing for Evelyn.
Yes,
I think we should just fan cast this.
Here for
You
it.
know, I've already recapped the story in the intro, so our listeners should know who the hell we're going to be talking about, but we'll dive into each character as we go. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. We're starting with Evelyn Hugo. Okay, my two picks for Evelyn Hugo are Aubrey Plaza and Rosanna Arquette. Aubrey Plaza is definitely a white passing woman, especially with her blonde hair. I know she's got the range. Obviously, she falls more into the comedy realm of it all, but she's got that like sass that you need from young Evelyn Hugo, but can be kind of the awkward, sort of timid Evelyn as she grows into her character. So Aubrey Plaza is my young Evelyn Hugo.
Oh my God. Wait. And she represents the queer community.
Yeah. Yes.
She's bisexual. She's also recently lost her husband. This would be incredible. I mean, if she would be willing and handling it, this would be incredible for her.
Yeah, absolutely. So
shit.
I love her as my pick.
This is the danger of me being like, hey, guest, why don't you go first? That tells you that I'm pretty confident in mine. Now I'm sitting here being like, I'm fucking questioning everything.
She was one of the first people I thought of. And I went back and forth through a couple of different people. And looking at it, I was like, I like her too much for this. I really want Aubrey Plaza in this.
She would bring, I think, a lot more humor in it than, I mean, it's on the page that way.
Yeah.
But I don't think people don't focus on that. They're like, she's got to be just drop dead gorgeous and beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, she would be really great.
Yeah. So then.
And she's only in she's 38 or something?
Yeah. And I think they could make her look a little younger, like, for sure.
Easily play younger.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Rosanna Arquette. I don't know her.
Yeah. Okay. So related to Patricia Arquette.
I got it.
So one of the things that really stood out for me is she is in The L Word as like the older girl that Shane is like messing around with and keeps going back to, kind of a thing. So she already has a history of playing a lesbian character. She's got the queer character down. She's part of an iconic queer TV show. So yeah, I feel like she's the right age. I think she looks close enough to Aubrey Plaza that could pass as like an older version of her. And then if you watch her in The L Word, she's got that sass to her that you need from an Evelyn Hugo type of character. And as a note, outside of what her acting is, she was one of the first whistleblowers on Harvey Weinstein. And so I
Let's go,
love
Rosanna. Fuck you,
her,
Harvey
and
Weinstein.
that significantly impacted her career, talking about that kind of a thing. I love her for this. She's already done some queer media.
What the fuck? This is perfect.
This might be about the casting in this, but I do really love
this
them.
is so spot on. I want to show you who mine is, but I can tell I'm 95% sure I want to cast them immediately.
Okay, heard.
Immediately, because I like mine and I have a reason, but yours literally checks the boxes. The fact that Rosanna Arquette being a whistleblower for Harvey Weinstein and speaking up despite what it would do to her career fits literally who Evelyn Hugo is
Exactly. Yeah.
at that age in the book.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, where she is sitting down with Monique to tell the truth
Mhm.
about things. 95% sure these are Evelyn's. I'll show you mine for shits and giggles, but I want to lock it in. Who's next?
Next is Monique Grant. So
Amazing. I put this together and I don't even know who's next.
Monique Grant. I have Yara Shahidi. She is from Blackish and from Grownish. She's also in Salt, but some of the characters that she's played so far have been like more lighthearted characters, which is how I think Monique kind of starts out in the book, is just like kind of timid, kind of shy, but then grows into this career woman because of Evelyn's help. And so I think she had the good starting point already. I can already see her growing throughout the film and becoming this ass bitch of a career woman. Like, I really like her for this role. I think she fits the aesthetic. If you watch her interviews, she talks about being shy and kind of anxious, and that's how Monique starts in the book.
I love Yara Shahidi. Kirsten and I have cast her in our Fourth Wing series
Oh,
because we're
amazing.
both obsessed with her.
Yeah.
She's such a great actress.
Yeah.
Remind me, in the book, when you were talking about her being anxious and a little bit more timid, she is getting a divorce, Monique.
Yes.
Or she is currently separated from her husband,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Something's happening where he's picking up his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going through all of this while she's in the interviewing process with Evelyn and hearing about her marriages and her life and how she perseveres through. It helps Monique make her decision of what's best for her and her career and her relationship.
Yeah,
with her
exactly.
husband.
So her and her husband separate because her husband gets a job somewhere else. And she's like,
Right.
my whole career is here. I'm not leaving. Like, that apparently this isn't going to work for us and we have to separate. And it's really hard on her in the beginning. Then on top of it, works for this magazine and doesn't feel like she's being appreciated or getting the things that she wants to work on, and gets this call to do this Evelyn Hugo feature, which is insane. And then finds out that Evelyn actually doesn't want to do anything with the magazine. So now she has to tell the magazine, like, oh, please don't fire me, but this isn't for you. This is for me. There's so much development between her relationship, the way she interacts at her job, all like Evelyn essentially empowering her to do what's best for her. And you see how much it builds her as a character in the end.
Ah, this is a great choice. This is a really good choice. I truly love her. Like, that's a good one, Tab. Do we know how old Yara is?
I don't.
She's a little younger.
She
I know
is young.
she's young and she plays young.
Yeah.
But I can see her playing older too. I think I wouldn't say Monique is old at all or like older. I wouldn't even say she's in her 30s. I would say she's in her like late 20s.
Yeah, so Yara's 25 right now. So
okay.
I would have pictured Monique to be like between 28 and like 32, where you've gotten married, you've established that life, you're working on your career.
Right. While I think like Monique is a very important character she's super important to the book, obviously a main character. She's more of a interspliced throughout the series in the book.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think anyone would be like, oh my God, it threw the whole thing. It was Yara Shahidi and she was young. She was 25.
Yeah, because like the whole book is Evelyn's point of view, right? And then you have these like small breaks where you come back to like older Evelyn talking to Monique and whatnot. So yeah, I think most of it, I think she could do it. I like her for this.
Hell yeah. All right. Are we getting
or
into
the husband?
The boys?
Yeah.
The husband? Not that kind of boys. Not the boys that we deal with at work. There's no penis shots and whatever in it.
I wasn't even thinking of the show. I was thinking of like the men in our office, and then you're like, penis shots. Oh my God, no.
Wait, there's no penis shots in the office.
HR, don't come for me. I swear it's not happening.
Pino.
Pino.
Can we? Sorry, why is our HR called P&O? I understand it's people and organization, but I hate being like, P&O?
Yeah, I
so
don't call them that.
dumb.
I call them HR.
You're making us say peen.
Peen and oh,
Pinot Grigio? Pinot
mm,
wine? What?
sponsor me.
Sounds good. I know. Sponsors? Hello? Anybody? I like Apothic. Apothic Red is my fave. Except the sulfates in it just absolutely knock my ass out
Mm.
the next morning. I'll have 2 glasses and the next morning I wake up, I'm like, why the fuck do I feel like I got hit by a bus? I don't
How all
understand.
wine makes me feel. It makes me want to die every morning.
There's a little, maybe another sponsor for this too, whatever the hell you're called. There's a like medicine, I guess, supplement. There we go. A supplement that you can take before you drink wine that offsets the sulfates like dehydrating you.
Interesting.
Forgot what it's called.
Is it
And I'm
liquid
not gonna
IV?
look it up right now.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the after part. You get pre-game 2 glasses of wine with liquid IV. You just rip the packet open and
Dump it in your wine, your decanter.
dump it in your wine. Do you know what liquid IV, we're on a tangent. I don't care. I'm keeping it all in. Liquid IV maybe is my sponsor too. Did you tell me this? You told me this. That if you're dehydrated, it tastes salty.
Oh, I didn't.
Okay, someone at work told me this, that the more dehydrated you are, when you put liquid IV in your water and it tastes kind of salty and you're like, the fuck, why is it kind of salty? It's because your body is so dehydrated, and then the more you drink it, the sweeter it gets, the more hydrated your body is becoming.
Fascinating. What a great way to track hydration. Is like, how is this
Cool.
tasting for me? Man, now I want to go dehydrate myself and just drink a fuck ton of liquid IV just to try it.
Well, okay, sorry, that was my tangent. Thank you, Liquid IV, sponsored by... Okay.
Liquid IV.
All right, let's get into the men,
All right.
unfortunately.
Moving on
Okay.
to the husbands
Yeah.
here. We're
To
starting
the husbands.
with Ernie Diaz. So my Ernie Diaz is Xolo Mariueña.
Who the fuck is that?
He's in Cobra Kai. Yeah, which is
This whole
one of
episode
our
is so
shows.
Sony coded.
It's so unintentionally, but very,
Unintentional.
very Sony coded.
He's cute.
Yeah. So, okay. The reason I pick him, I think that he looks, all right, get off of there. He looks young enough to me to play Ernie Diaz, because Evelyn is like 15, I think, ish when she meets him and like marries him before she turns 18. He's a blue collar guy, and they move to Hollywood because he works on like lighting, something. She like finds him as her in, right?
Yeah.
Just this blue collar guy. And I think he looks young enough. He's played semi-serious roles. And Ernie is so minimal within this book. It's essentially like her into Hollywood. And then she's like, okay, bye. Thank you. So
I know, which is so sad. They come from like the Midwest somewhere, right?
No, they're in New York. They're in a borough
They're in
in
New York. They're in the Bronx.
Okay. Yeah.
I think she's in the Bronx, or it might be Washington Heights.
Mm-hmm.
Washington Heights would make sense with her background and what his background would be. Shout out Washington Heights, 191st and Broadway, and my bodega, YNA Foods. Love that place. Should I pull a J-Lo and say my bodega order? No. It's just...
Only if it just gets hers.
Yeah, there's no orange drink.
You got the blue drink?
Arizona green iced tea. A mint green can drink. I really like him. Yeah, because they meet.
Yeah.
He's going to go for work to Hollywood, and so she hitches her wagon to his. They get married. She's there for what? She's with him for maybe a couple weeks and starts to meet people already and schmooze, and then she's like out.
Yeah, she like works for a diner style place and knows that like people go to this diner. So she starts talking to people, and when eventually getting recognized and getting her first big break, they're like, hey, you can't be married. We need to send you on dates, and we need to make you this desirable person within Hollywood. And so she basically gives him a check of, here's for your troubles, and now goodbye. He ends up marrying somebody and having a bunch of kids and living the life that he wanted to live. But it's just like very young, ignorant love. He's being used by Evelyn, right? It's an innocent little guy is how I view him.
Just an innocent little guy. And he looks like an innocent little guy.
Yeah.
That's a great choice.
But still got the muscles of having to be in a blue collar job. Like this photo probably
yeah,
doesn't show that the best, but I think this photo showed him looking maybe a little younger than some of the other ones.
I could definitely see this. And I like it because he's not like uber famous.
Yeah, I was trying to go with some of the like lesser known people throughout this. That in my next three people are not lesser known people. But then we circle back to the lesser known people.
Really? I say that, and everybody else coming up is actually on the cover of People magazine in the last 5 months. Okay.
Yes. So he's got just
Love.
a real simple story, just a blue collar guy that gets used by Evelyn. Moving on to Mr.
My cast sucks.
No,
Okay.
it doesn't. No, it doesn't. You're going to have a great cast.
We didn't do this. Do you think we're going to have any crossover?
I think there's one crossover that we definitely have.
I think so too.
And we'll get there.
I think we have one.
We'll get there.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay,
next, we're moving on to Don Adler.
Oh,
So
goddamn Don Adler.
yes, I have Glenn Powell as Don Adler. I think, okay, obviously he's real hot right now. Everybody wants to
He is so
have
hot.
Glenn Powell and everything. Obviously, we know he can play the romantic side of like making Evelyn fall in love with him. In the book, the hotshot like actor of the time, and that's essentially what he's acting as in our current time, right? He's in Top Gun, like the new Top, and so I think he like can easily fit into the 50s and 60s aesthetic of all. And then, you know, Don Adler doesn't have the best story with Evelyn, gets a little abusive quickly into their
There's a
marriage.
reason he's called goddamn Don Adler.
And I'm sorry, Glenn, but I can see you doing not
Yes.
in real life, but like I can see you acting that well. And then he actually makes an appearance again later in the book, like trying to revamp his career after being an alcoholic. And I think Glenn would have the humility to play that part of the role as well and can be aged up a little bit to fit within that.
That's really good. When they first meet, do you remember what their age gap is? I know there's an age gap.
There is.
Because she's 15 or 16.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say they say he's like in his mid-20s.
Yeah, I think it's like a 10-year type of age gap. So that could be difficult.
He could do that. No, but I think he could do it. I mean, he's got, I don't want to say like a baby face, but because he's got like the strong jaw and stuff. It's very like manly.
Mm-hmm.
But he's so classic Hollywood.
So classic. Fits the 1950s-ish guy so well.
God. Yeah. I had thought of, this is not who my Don Adler is, but I had thought of Ryan Gosling when I was reading the book.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
who I pictured, probably because of La La Land and
Yeah,
things.
absolutely.
But Ryan Gosling, I think, is far too old to play the role.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen him in too much. Is Don Adler also the character that blacklists her?
Yeah, so it's because he ends up cheating on her at a party and she's upset about it. And so she's waiting to go home and see him and like actually confront what happened, especially because like he abuses her, right? So she's like kind of afraid to go back and face that. And then he's just gone. So he leaves her before she can leave him. And they work for the same studio and whatnot. He's, you know, the golden child of the studio. Evelyn can't work here anymore. We can't put her in any movies. And so that's when she has to try and rebuild her career.
Yeah. It's when she wins, and she's at an award show. And I believe she wins the award.
So she doesn't win. And that's why.
She doesn't win.
Yeah, that like
Okay.
leads to it. Yeah.
She doesn't win, and they're at the after party, and she walks in on him.
Yeah. Yep.
With someone.
Mhm.
And like quietly leaves and goes and stays with Celia, I think.
She goes and stays with Harry, I think is.
She goes and stays with Harry.
It might be
that's
Celia.
right.
It's one of them. Yeah. She goes.
She stays with someone for the night,
Mhm.
and then when she goes back to confront, he's gone.
He's gone already.
He would be really great.
Yeah. It just aesthetically fits it so perfectly for me.
We have this similar train of thought.
Yeah.
We have a similar train of thought. I'm on board.
All right.
I love it.
All right, we're moving on to Mick Riva. Essentially, the story of Mick Riva is that he is this hotshot, wants to sleep with everybody, can't be tied down kind of a thing. and Celia and Evelyn start having their relationship. They actually, at the party that she catches Dawn, is the first time that they acknowledge that.
That's right. They kiss.
Yeah, in the closet,
She
right?
kisses
Which
her.
is so symbolic.
Right, because Celia confronts her, or vice versa, about being a lesbian.
Somebody
That there are
else,
rumors.
a different
Somebody else.
person confronts her, and then she's like, "Oh, I don't know what's going on." And then she pulls Celia in, and then they kind of like have their first moment.
Right.
So she starts her relationship with Celia, and then Mick Riva, who I'm going to move on to, who I have as Jacob Elordi, which is the one that I think we might have had the crossover on. His story is so minimal within it. She wants to hide her relationship with Celia because obviously they're hanging out all of the time, and Hollywood is starting to talk about it, but they don't want to be outed. And so she's like, I'm gonna marry Mick Riva and then get it nulled the next day. She has this like whole elaborate plan on how to make this happen. He falls into the palm of her hand because all he wants is to sleep with beautiful women. And Evelyn is like, I'm not going to sleep with you unless you marry me. And then does that. They wake up the next morning. They get married in Vegas. They sleep together. They wake up the next morning. And then Evelyn plays this up as being attached and not the persona that you view of her, in order to get Mick Riva to be like, oh, we made a mistake. Maybe we should move on.
This is a lot. Like, you're pretty vanilla.
Yeah. Jacob Elordi, just a hot guy, full of himself. You know, it's similar to the character he plays in Euphoria.
Yep.
And that's the whole character. That's literally all you get from Mick Riva.
Is Mick Riva, so he's a singer, right?
Yes.
He's a singer, and they're at the show. Her and Celia touch hands, right? They're at the show, and there's like speculation on top of the rumors that are already flying. And then this party thing happens, and then they are caught holding hands, or there is a moment at this show, and she's like, I gotta think fucking fast.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like such a last minute concocted plan.
And also leads to her and Celia's downfall. So Evelyn ends up getting pregnant, and Celia didn't realize that she was going to sleep with Mick. She knew about the marriage part of it and getting it annulled, but didn't realize that meant sleeping with, and just feels really betrayed. And Evelyn doesn't yet have the humility to admit that she either wasn't clear enough or it was a step too far, and then just gets too defensive.
That part of the book kind of made me mad a little bit at Celia. I get it, but also she had to go through with it to solidify this plan. She didn't mean to get pregnant, and I kind of was like, Celia, like, you guys aren't like together though. Like, this is still something that's being explored for Evelyn. She did sleep with him because she also was trying to prove to herself, do I want this? Do I not want this? What's going on? She's still exploring through that. So I was always like, come on, Celia, understand she's going through the process right now.
But Celia wants to be out, and Evelyn is like, we can't do that. And so there's that added layer of, it doesn't want to hide it, and then on top of it, her partner having all of these relations with other people and other men especially. So it's a interesting dynamic for sure.
Yeah. Yes. I love Jacob Elordi. We had talked about it. I was like,
yeah,
probably put in Jacob Elordi, and I was like, I did it too somewhere.
Yeah,
you'll see.
He's just a hot character, right? You got to get him in there.
He's a hot character. In general, he's like in everything right now. Also very Sony coded. What movie is that we're doing? Something North.
I work on TV shows.
We work in TV. We're not in that group. We're actually not even invited to the screenings. So not that we're bitter. I'm salty like a liquid IV when you're dehydrated. We're getting through life.
They really should sponsor us for this. We're just keeping them in.
They really should. Like, you're welcome.
We have North. The next thing we're moving on to is Rex North.
Okay, perfect.
All right, there's going to be a shock here. Okay. So, Rex North. Now, I chose Robert Pattinson. for this.
Edward.
But it specifically has to be this photo version of Robert Pattinson. He has to make this face the whole time he's working. It has to be this Robert Pattinson.
Oh my God.
So, similarly to McReva, Rex
This
North's
is his face.
character is, like he's got to make that face the whole time. He's just
I'm
a
obsessed.
smug actor that is co-starring with Evelyn in something and that it's not going to do well. The movie's not going to do well. And so to drum up some press about it, Evelyn makes this plan that they're going to get married. But they have an agreement. They're never intimate. They're never actually dating or anything like that. It's a true beard where Rex can go and sleep with whomever he wants and whatever he wants. And so we already know that Robert Pattinson can be like sort of smug, but like also just like more kind of a genuine guy of he's being honest to what he is. And is aware of it, but I choose this version of Robert Pattinson.
I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I didn't even think of Robert Pattinson.
This is probably one of the harder characters for me to cast. I had no idea who to do for this role, and I was looking through so many different things, and I came across this photo and was like, that feels right.
Guy. That feels right. Because they sleep in separate beds. It's all like a PR thing.
Yeah. And then he eventually does fall in love with somebody. Gonna go have my family.
Her name's Jane or something.
I don't remember.
Yes. And he's like, I love her. I want to be with her. I want to have this family. I can't do this anymore. And Evelyn is not, she's like weirdly hurt by it for some reason. And they both kind of are, but they just amicably go their separate ways and want to do what's best. But yeah, there's something else I feel like that happens with their relationship that feels like Robert Pattinson would be fully correct in it. I'm blanking on it right now. Because you're right. He's you don't really know a lot about him as a person, as a character. I feel like Rex North is like that too.
Yeah.
It doesn't really go deep into who he is. It's very surface level.
Absolutely. It's just literally he wants to sleep with women. He gets a girlfriend. He impregnates her. And then that's basically the end of his story. Okay. So the way that their story ends, right? She finds out that he impregnates his girlfriend and he wants to be with his girlfriend. And so Evelyn, again, has to conjure up this plan to figure out how they're going to deal with this in the media. She takes Harry Cameron up into the hills and they pretend to be having an affair so that it looks like they're both having affairs. So it's not really looking bad on either of them, just they're having an affair. So this moves me into my Harry Cameron, which I cannot wait for you to see who my Harry Cameron is. Okay, my Harry Cameron is...
Ready?
You can look. Dan Buchaninski.
He's in Hacks.
Yeah. So, a couple things. One, he's gay. So, I like him for this role, obviously, because Harry Cameron is gay in the book.
Yes.
He's also a director, producer, in addition to being an actor, which is Harry Cameron's role. And like just his look of the glasses, the like sort of messy hair, like not totally professional.
Yeah.
Like I think his look fits so well into this role. He's compassionate, like he just looks like a kind-hearted producer.
He's not unattractive either. There is like an attraction there because she's known him for so long.
Yeah.
And it's more of a friendship and kind of caring vibe that way as she starts her career and she first starts working with Harry. And then throughout all these marriages, and they work together to put to rest some of the rumors going around about both of them.
Yeah.
I think she really loves him too. And he looks so lovable.
He looks so lovable. That's the thing is like Harry Cameron is such a lovable character within this book. He falls in love. His partner dies like later on and he goes into being an alcoholic while trying to juggle being a parent, but then comes out of it a little bit-ish.
Yep.
I could see him being this like happy, like the way he looks now, and then kind of falling into a darkness and like fighting his way through it.
Right, right. Harry, at this point, he is having a relationship with Celia's husband.
Yeah, so they're not married yet. Um,
Right.
but he's having a relationship with a football player, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, then they all start hanging out together, pretending, right, that they're in these
Yep.
two relationships.
Yes. And then they move to New York during the Stonewall era
Yeah.
and live in a brownstone all together, like a side by side.
Yep.
And so they're very close and it makes it really easy for them. Then I believe the partner is diagnosed with HIV/AIDS
Yeah. Yes. And then ends up
during the
and all of Harry's friends and right, he's just like watching a ton of people that he knows and loves pass away.
pass away.
And also fearing for his own life of getting it and not surviving it like so many people he's seen. So he falls into this like really deep darkness. And Celia is also really upset because even though she's not married to this guy, or
She
not,
is, yeah.
she is married to this
She's a,
guy, even though she's not in love with him.
right. But there was like a love amongst the four of them. They would travel together, and Evelyn and Harry, they decide to have a child.
Yes, they have the child before Harry's partner passes away. And so it's the four of them raising their child, Connor. And so they're raising them all together as one big happy family. And then the death of the partner is when it all starts to fall apart.
Right. And Evelyn gets permission from Celia to organically be with Harry
Yes.
to have Connor,
Yes.
which I loved and also was kind of like, bitch, you don't have to ask nobody's permission. It's your body. And
What she
that's your
kind of
husband.
says within it is, I don't really need to ask. But then I think that's when the humility of Evelyn starts to develop of I am recognizing that I am responsible for someone else's feelings as
Yes.
well
Yeah.
and starts to actually acknowledge and act upon that.
Yes. We'll get to this with Celia, but I both like Celia and also I'm kind of like, Celia, chill, girl.
Yeah.
She like dug her claws in and never let go, except for when she lets go for several years. But
Yeah.
like it's like, excuse me? Like, you need to calm down for a second.
Yeah, it's
But
interesting because Celia is so attached, right? Like she is so in love and so attached. And Evelyn has spent her entire life being detached from everything. And so there's the conflict is between them of
yeah,
like Evelyn's having a hard time committing in the same way that Celia is and leads to their
totally.
issues down the
They're
line.
yeah, no, I wouldn't say demise, but their issues and their ships in the night of will they, won't they
Yeah.
throughout the entire book. Great choice.
Yeah. Okay, this is the explanation I think you're going to find is hilarious. So my next one, we're moving on to Max Gerard. Harry struggles through this, and Evelyn just wants to move away with Celia and Connor, and Harry is like, I can't do that.
He has a lover.
He has a lover. He starts to move on. And
Yes.
then,
It has been some time because
yeah,
they have a kid and
yeah,
all that stuff. He meets someone who works in Hollywood and ends up having a relationship, and that person's having an affair because he has a wife and child at home.
yeah. Harry is asking his new partner to move with them so they can all be a family. The
Yeah.
partner can't because of this. And then they get in this car accident, and unfortunately, they both end up passing away in this
The lead
twist.
in to the big twist, which I was like, what?
Yeah,
At the end of
that
the book is
such a
crazy.
great twist. Oh my God.
Oh, so good. So good. What an excellent choice. Love.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to Max Gerard, who you might remember is the film producer who helps Evelyn get her big break after being blacklisted. This film where at the end you like almost see her boobs, but you don't really see her boobs, and then
Right.
everybody
That's right.
falls in love with her because she just becomes this like sex icon after that.
That's right.
So this all comes from an Italian producer. So the person that I cast for Max Gerard is Luca Marinelli. So
Hot.
hot Italian.
Hot.
Oh my God.
Okay. I feel like I'm an idiot because I thought they were a French filmmaker, but I think Italian is correct.
Maybe I'm an idiot.
Oh, no, I think you're right. I think it's Italian, but I was like, France? French? I think either way, I love it. They can adapt it. Who cares? A foreign filmmaker.
Yeah. So this guy, I don't
hot.
know anything about him.
Amazing.
I
Me neither.
cast him is because I think he fits the role in terms of aesthetics very well. Like he can,
Oh, yeah.
like Max Gerard is also a character that you see in their younger ages and then again in their older ages because they meet in the younger ages and then he is just obsessed with Evelyn. Once Harry passes, she's like, oh my God, she's, her and Celia have had their issues and are no longer together. And so she's starting to get love from Max and she's, oh my God, like maybe I could love this guy. I've known him a long time. He knows me, and starts to fall in love with him. But then throughout their relationship, realizes that he is in love with the idea of her being this celebrity hotshot. He likes the idea of being married to her more than he likes her and being married to her. And so I cast Luca because I think he looks the role. But I also, when looking him up, found that he voices the Italian dubbed version of Mufasa.
Obsessed.
And Max is a little bit of a villain in the he's not very kind to Evelyn after he finds the letters between her and Celia.
He's very bigoted.
Yeah, and he's very just into himself. So I know nothing about this dude's acting ability, but I think I like his aesthetic.
I love it. Italian or French, he's great. He can play
He's
French,
great.
too.
Yeah, he is cute.
He's got that artist, tortured artist.
Exactly. Yeah.
Vibe. Love.
All right, we're moving on to our last husband.
Okay.
Which is agreeable Robert Jameson. So I have Michael Fassbender in here. He is essentially Celia's brother and marries Evelyn so that they can move with Celia. And that's his whole story. There is nothing else to him other than just, yeah, sure, I'll marry you.
I'm realizing now that this is her last husband, so he needs to be older.
Yeah.
I guess. Older.
Nice. I'm excited to see what you have for this then.
I need to well, this recording is out. Anyone who's watching or listening, go back a few seconds and watch the journey of my face. Yeah. Shit. Oh, he's perfect. Yeah, he's Celia's brother.
Actually, the only things that we have to know about him is that he has to be a redhead and he has to be attractive.
He's just kind of a dude and is,
sure,
solid for my sisters so they can be together.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So that's his entire story. That's all I got for him.
He's it's not there.
I think Celia is up next, so you'll get to see the relation. So are you ready for Celia?
Okay. Ready? Let's go.
We're moving on to Celia St. James. I have Mrs. Sophie Turner and Julianne Moore.
Let's lock in Julianne Moore. We got the same.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah. So again, Sophie Turner being a little queer, right? Mm-hmm. I appreciate having her within that role. Also, she has such a of drama that she can do. We know she can cry on screen. We know she can about her partner. Just her and Aubrey Plaza together. That would be so incredible. Love that so much.
Also, Celia's always kind of portrayed as she's like a Hollywood actress, but she's a little bit more tomboyish in the roles she would get. She was always kind of the more fun character, and I feel like Sophie Turner would fucking crush that.
Well, because that's her personality in real life. She's just such a bro to everybody. Yes. I think her and Aubrey next to each other would be. Aubrey's also a little more tomboy-y, but I think can play up the feminine side really well.
But those two,
they look so much alike. This is the older version of her. And then Julianne Moore, same thing. It's just great. Can do the drama. you really only see Julianne Moore for the end of it where they exchange the letters that Max finds. They meet
Mm-hmm.
up in Hollywood again. And then
Mm-hmm.
Celia's like, I'm dying and I only had 10 years left. Are we doing this thing or are we not?
Yeah. And she's like, let's do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wait, okay. Because I know we were talking about how important is it that we have an older Celia and a younger Celia when the
Mhm.
majority is a younger Celia that we see. I think that Sophie Turner could also age up through most of it.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
they could, Julianne Moore also. Julianne Moore is in her 60s, late 50s,
She's
early
like
60s.
59 or 60. Yeah.
They could easily age her down a little bit for the last marriage.
I think Sophie could play it all the way up until the letters where they meet again. So you have Sophie throughout the whole story. And then
Yeah.
when they're finally having their, like,
Oh my
they're
God.
reuniting, then it becomes Julianne Moore. And she's sick also. So, like, yeah, could be a little aged down, but I think it would be really easy because she has to also be sick in addition to,
Yes.
so I think that's the switch of when you change over to Julianne Moore. Because there's also been time that we haven't seen Celia.
From like a television creator perspective, which I've never created a TV show in my life, but from that perspective, can you imagine the reveal of this, of who is she when she's older? And it's motherfucking Julianne Moore,
Yeah, yeah, for real. It's
like
just
coming
such
in
a
here
good
with the
reveal.
letters
Yeah.
and sitting down with Rosanna Arquette and
Mhm,
being like, hey, are we going to do this or what?
mhm.
So good.
Yeah, I love her for this. And I just was honestly like, wouldn't have thought about it earlier, but seeing the two of them together, like Sophie and
Yeah.
Julianne, they look so
Yeah.
much alike. Like, I did
They
not
do.
realize, but having their photos, I'm like, oh my God, they have like very similar face.
My Celia and your Celia as
Yeah.
Sophie Turner could be siblings.
Oh, amazing.
They
Okay.
look so alike. And I thought of Sophie Turner too. I'm going to pick somebody who's a little bit lesser known
Yeah.
because everybody in mine is A-list celebrity, which sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. I
But
get
there's no
that.
budget here. And all
And we
the
can do
points are
whatever
made up
we
of nothing.
want.
We can do what the fuck we want. This is just fun. We're just
Yeah.
having fun. This is a Sunday. We're just hanging out. Okay, we have our last and final, right?
Yeah,
And this is the part of the big twist.
the big reveal that makes me want to cry my eyes out.
I know.
So
I'm going to let you tell the big reveal.
Harry dies in a car accident that he was drunk driving in. He's got his partner next to him, and his partner dies on impact. So Evelyn takes Harry, moves the partner to the driver's seat. So it seems like the partner has been the drunk driver that passed away from this. Just a really sad story. At the end of the book, you find out that this partner is Monique's dad, and that's why Evelyn
Mhm.
wants him. So I have Carl Clemens Hopkins. His whole role within this is literally just small partner and then dying. So there's not a whole lot of acting that goes into it. We know he has to be a gay black man. And I had Coleman Domingo and like some others that I was maybe considering. Like
Mhm.
with m- my Harry Cameron, Carl Clemens Hopkins feels like he would fit in with actually being a partner of Harry Cameron.
100%. I am also in real time now realizing that when the affair between them is happening is much later in life and mine is also too young. So
I love that so much.
I don't know why in my brain, I was like at the end of the slides and I was like, this is good. I like them.
Yeah, they all play out
Vibes.
like differently, right? And people can
Right.
have a variety of age
It's
ranges.
also movie magic. We know they can age
All
people up
too
and
well.
down. They do it all the time. He's excellent, though. I absolutely love him in Hacks. Really missing him this season. Have you watched Hacks before?
I haven't, but I've heard a lot about it.
Oh my God,
Excuse
Tam,
me.
you would love it. It's so fucking funny. He's not really in this season, but he's such a great actor.
Yeah, and he
Oh my
doesn't really have to
God.
do a whole lot in this, right? It's just a matter
Mm-mm.
of him like kind of being in love with Harry for a little bit.
And that part is so heartbreaking as a twist, too, because you start to realize it, but you're like, that's not it, right? And when she switches them, because the car accident happens down their street.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's not very far. And he hits a tree or a telephone
Yeah.
pole. So she knows it's happening. And so she switches it to save his career. And he ends up dying
Yeah.
anyways.
And in it, so when moving him over to the driver's seat, she finds this letter that he
Yes.
wrote to Harry of, I love you so much, but I cannot move with you and your family, and I can't leave my daughter and my family. And so I can't move with you. And he doesn't get the opportunity to give that to Harry. They both end up passing. And then that letter is what's given to Monique in the end, revealing who her father is and why Evelyn wanted her and whatnot. And it's just so, so
Right.
heartbreaking of a twist.
Right. Monique thinks that she's been chosen to write this story and this article that was supposed to be this fluff piece about these dresses that
Hmm.
Evelyn had that she's going to donate.
Yeah.
And she thinks she's chosen based on another piece of work that Evelyn had read. And she's
Yeah.
like, wow, she read my work and she really likes me. And she handpicks her because she wants her to know this happens because
Well, the
Evelyn then,
guilt. Yeah. She's
yeah,
overwhelmed by the guilt of having this and this daughter not getting her father and the role she played in all of that. And it's so sad.
yep. Yep. And then, I told everybody in the beginning, don't listen or watch this unless you've read the book. And then we lose Evelyn.
Yeah. Yep. Right.
And
Soon
by
as she
choice.
like reveals the story. Yeah. And part of what plays into that. So the piece that Monique thinks that Evelyn read is about assisted euthanasia. And she's like, oh, she must have really liked how deep I went with this. Cause obviously she's being hired to actually write the memoir, her coming out rather than just like this fluff piece that we talked about. So for her to be believing that it's over this like assisted suicide and then for it to end on Evelyn essentially going down that route is and after releasing all of this guilt and shame that she's felt for so many years
Right.
is so poetic. I really love it.
Yes. The ending of the whole book was so great, but the ending of the book was one of those things where I set it down and I went, wow, Taylor Jenkins Reid, you're a fucking genius. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the beginning, Monique talks about that her dad worked in Hollywood
Hmm.
as a lighting guy
So there's
and
all
she
these
didn't
like
get to
little
know him.
Easter eggs, yeah, that you don't notice until you know.
When it's a film, that's going to be so good to watch. The great reveal and the development of it. Okay, so let's see your
All
full
right.
cast.
Yeah, we're moving on. That's the full thing.
That's a really solid cast.
I am ready to see your cast now. I am ready
Okay,
to experience your view on this.
here we go. We're just going to jump right into it. I can already tell you that I really loved your Evelyn and Celia choices. I can tell you that we have a lot more crossover than we thought.
Okay.
We have one
Interesting.
spot on and a few of the same people,
Okay,
which
cool.
is great.
Yeah.
Which means we can just move them around and see
Yeah.
where we think they fit best. As I have discovered, there are two people later in the mix that are not aged correctly. And so they may be disqualified based on vibes. I like yours.
We're going on
So
vibes.
we're going on vibes. My Evelyn, I have cast Anna de
Ooh.
Armas
Okay.
and
I like it.
Selma Hayek.
Yes. That was an
So
option for me for sure.
now I think so. Anna de Armas, I feel, is definitely white passing. She has
Yeah,
played Marilyn Monroe. So she is
absolutely.
very white passing. I wouldn't say that I know or love her work. So I'm not choosing her based on that, but I'm definitely choosing her based on how she checks the boxes and the way that I think Hollywood recently views Anna de Armas is
Hmm.
there. Oh my God, she's gorgeous. She's young. She's arm candy. That photo of her on the red carpet is so Evelyn Hugo. That's
Absolutely.
exactly, I mean, and she's done a lot of roles, but most famously, people know her from doing the new Marilyn Monroe film where it was very art house. It was very sexualized. It was very bombshell.
Hmm.
And I think one of the tones of Evelyn Hugo, the whole book of the Seven Husbands, that really stood out to me is how sexualized she was as a
Hmm.
person and what was her choice sexually and what was not her choice sexually to be revealed. I just felt like Ana de Armas was like a good contender. And also like people really like her and they want to see more of her. So I thought like she's somebody who actually could fit the mold, but I'm not super married to her. And quite frankly, I like the choice of Aubrey Plaza more. Aubrey Plaza is openly of the queer community. Like I said about her husband recently passing, I think that she has more of a depth as an actor that could be portrayed more than Ana de Armas, who would be there to check the boxes. So I would already like to concede to Aubrey Plaza.
I do
I
really
would.
like Ana de Armas because, like, when you're reading this book, you very much view Evelyn Hugo as Marilyn Monroe, right? Like this hyper-sexualized character that she has to play into just for the sake of her career. And so the fact that Ana de Armas has already played Marilyn Monroe, I think just further leads into that. So I still think that's a great choice.
She's a good choice, and I think she's a very realistic choice of what could be, who could be cast in Netflix, especially with where she's at in her career. But for the sake of our fan cast, I would like our cast to be Aubrey Plaza because also there's a little bit, there's not enough of it, but a little bit of the journey of Evelyn Hugo when she starts out and is going to Hollywood. Doesn't she dye her hair? When does she dye her hair blonde?
Yeah, so it's essentially when she gets to Hollywood because she realizes that she needs to look white. And so
Right.
she doesn't have the blonde hair until she's already there.
Yeah, and it's the Norma Jean to Marilyn Monroe pipeline. Same thing. I could see Aubrey Plaza being like the more mousy brown hair of, okay, I'm going to change my image. And it is such a difference with her with blonde hair. I was not married to this choice. Now, Selma Hayek, I adore.
Yeah.
I adore her. She, I believe, is exactly 60. She is so stunning. Her hair is kind of pink in this photo because all of the ones with her blonde hair is stick straight. And I was like, girl, I need some Hollywood waves here for me to
absolutely
plead your case.
Yeah.
I don't think Selma Hayek and Aubrey Plaza could be paired together. I think they're far too different. But I paired Selma Hayek and Ana de Armas together.
Jaw lines are like exactly the same. Like they
are so
yeah.
spot on. And their faces really do. It's like the more rounded jawline. It's got the prominent nose. It's got full lips and these striking eyes. I think that they could really work. I also think that Selma Hayek is, yes, white passing. She could be, sort of. But I think when Evelyn is older and when we see older Evelyn, she doesn't give a fuck about whether she's white passing or not anymore because the times have changed. So I didn't really focus so much on that when I was picking Selma Hayek. Do you know who I pictured as young Evelyn Hugo when I was reading was Lady Gaga. I don't know why.
Amazing.
I don't know why. That's just who was in my brain. But I was like, I can't. She's Italian. It messes with the formula. But that's who I pictured when I was reading it was Gaga. And that's my Evelyn. Okay. Next, we have Monique. Now, I love Yara Shahidi. I do. But I am so obsessed with my Monique choice. I have chosen Aisha D. She's from The Bold Type, which was a show that...
So I'm very familiar. I worked on The Bold Type also.
You did?
Yeah, it was an NBC show. And I also loved her, and I immediately concede to your choice. I think she is a great choice.
Love her. I think I told you this in the office. When I was reading this book, I get so when I read, I sort of pick people in my brain that exist. And that's part of the reason why I like fan casting anyways, is because I'm like, who else do people see?
Yeah.
I had just finished The Bold Type and it was canceled. And I don't get to know what happens to everybody. And I was really sad.
Your story needs to continue.
I needed to continue.
Well, and it's so funny. It feels like that is Monique's story. Is what's happening to her in The Bold Type. So, yeah.
It is so similar. Her partner in The Bold Type and trying to balance her career and working for this magazine. And it somehow just locked in my brain. And Aisha D, she was so sharp is the word. She was so sharp in her acting skills that there is one episode where she gets in a fight with her parents. they come to visit and she gets in a fight with them and they're like sitting at her dining room table and she goes through like this whole breakdown that I was like, excuse me, ma'am, you're one of the best actresses I've ever seen. There are so many things for fan casts that I've wanted her to cast her in, but I have saved her for this role. So I will die on the hill that I think that should be Monique Grant. However, you have conceded and I accept.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. She's also in The Accused, so, she can
Wait,
do some drama things. Yeah.
is she in the second season?
Well, she's in the first season.
Also our show. I think I only watched full episodes to the Abigail Breslin episode.
That's the episode, right?
Is that
Yeah.
the episode? Is
So
she
she's the
she's a
girlfriend. She's
roommate. The girlfriend. Yeah.
yeah.
She's the girl she's with. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And she's, you shouldn't go. Don't go out there.
Yeah.
I love her.
Also
Yeah.
love her. I think this is a perfect choice for Monique.
And I think your twist choice of her dad,
Oh, yeah.
spot on.
Yeah,
Also
would be a great choice.
same facial shape. The
Mhm.
brow line is like strong. I love it.
Yeah. No, I'm so here for this choice. I think this is the perfect choice.
Amazing. My next, we're going to move on to the gentleman, is poor Ernie Diaz. I have Christian Navarro, who is from 13 Reasons Why and several other things. Now, I know he looks older. So in my brain, Ernie was a little more rough and tumble from New York, where they worked as like a grip on the production side, unloading, loading trucks, transporting film type of thing. And so I was picturing kind of a muscular dude in like a jumpsuit, like those like old-timey jumpsuits with the name that says like Ernie on it or something. But he's like attractive enough and has these like puppy dog eyes.
Yeah, he's got the soft eyes, which I think play well into this for sure.
Yes, he's got the puppy dog eyes. And I actually have him a little bit older because she lies to him about her age.
Yeah.
She lies to him and says that she's older than she really is. And so I aged him up a little bit to make it feel a little more uncertain.
Yeah.
To be like, why is she going with this kind of like older guy? And it turns out like he's a good guy. She used him rather than
she's not.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. She's not very good and she uses him. And this poor bastard was her meal ticket. So I love him. I think this photo is really funny where he's like, but it was such a good one that showed those eyes that, I don't know, he's like hot where you're, oh, don't leave him. He's cute.
And he loves you and he got you here and whatever.
Right. He wants to go to the ends of the earth for you. But while he's so old Hollywood hot, he also could be very blue collar worker.
Yeah.
I think in 13 Reasons Why he works at a car shop or something too. He's like get that vibe from, he's in high school, but looks like he's 35 in high school there for some reason. So yeah, I think his age is very ambiguous too. As an actor, he can age up, age down, and I really love him. Oh,
yeah. I like both of our choices. I think I would be happy with especially because
same.
Yeah. The main thing is just that like he's got to be able to play a sweet.
It's almost, which direction do you want to go? Do you want them both to be young and in Hollywood and in the world and they go together? Or do you want it to be, I'm going to hitch my wagon to yours, you're going to bring me over there and I'm going to drop you like it's hot?
I think Christian is probably a better choice because that is more of the storyline, is that she really is just hitching her wagon. And though she knew him, they grew up by each other, like whatever, it really is fully about her getting her career started. And like when they get there, he wants to start building like a really traditional family. And she's like, no, I'm doing my career. I think him being like the little older, but still kind of naive kind of a guy works.
Fun.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yay. I'm glad you like him. We will revisit when we collab together. And
Mhm.
if I don't have any more picks because yours were better than mine, let's pick him.
Okay.
Next, we have goddamn Don Adler. Now,
Damn you,
this is where
Don.
our first crossover comes into play. While you
Interesting.
had Jacob Elordi as
Okay.
Mick,
Okay.
I
Mhm.
have Jacob Elordi as goddamn Don Adler. Here is
Mm.
why. Here's my reasoning. Now I know he's young. And because Don Adler is the first husband she goes to, so her second husband,
Mhm.
and she's still young, I also think he's very age ambiguous. Like, he's really young and can be a high schooler in Euphoria. But
Mhm.
now he's getting to the place in real Hollywood where he is playing these older, more
Mhm.
young businessman roles. And because Don Adler comes back later in the book and then would probably show up later in the film, I
Yeah.
think they could age him up enough where
Okay.
he would still be like hot, and
Yeah.
he's young enough that when she's 15 or 16 and marries Don Adler, or how
She's
long
like
does she wait
19
before?
when she marries Don
She's like
Adler.
19.
Yeah.
She waits a while
Yeah, but
because she
Don's
wants
in
to
his
be.
30s when they
He is.
start when they meet. Yeah,
Okay.
he's
Okay.
the older like Hollywood heartthrob already.
Okay. So if we have, if we, and we'll get, we're just going to do this now. We have Aubrey Plaza. If we have her as Evelyn,
Mhm.
I don't think he would work as
Mhm.
Don Adler. I think Glenn Powell would be the best choice
Mhm.
for him to look significantly older than Aubrey. If
Yeah.
we went with Anna de Armas, then I think Jacob could work because she
Yeah.
looks significantly younger. Not that Aubrey looks old or anything, but she does look significantly younger, and she's very small. I think she's 5'4" or something. Like, she's short.
Excuse me. I'm 5'4".
I said she's really short,
She's
like
short.
5'4", like you. Just kidding. So I like pictured him. I was going back and forth between him as Don Adler and him as also Mick. And
Okay. Yeah.
so I'm good with moving him to Mick and
Mhm.
rearranging some things as we would move on. My next one
Okay.
as Mick Riva is Diego
Ooh.
Boneta. Now,
Who is this? I don't know this person.
this is Diego Boneta. He is a singer. He is a Broadway guy who you would know mostly from Rock of Ages, the film. Did you ever see
Okay.
that movie?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God. He's got a voice on him, a really good one. I don't know how prominent him needing to sing would be, depending on how they would do that. But I think since he's going to be a musician, I think I would lean into it as a creator. I would want somebody who is a singer. And he came to mind like immediately.
And sorry to this man, but you definitely look like somebody who just wants to like fuck women and you don't give a shit about anything else. And
This
yeah.
dude has one of those big ass dimples in his chin, like so
Hmm.
prominent, and he's got this jawline and looks like he would just be like, "Oh, hey, yeah, what's up? Yeah, oh my God, I'll marry you. I love you." And then would be like, "You're fucking no thanks. I'm good."
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, I love
And
this pick. I think this is way better than
okay,
Jacob for this. Yeah.
hey, oh my God, hey, because what is he? He's not doing anything now. He's done like some guest spot things in like a few dramas on HBO, like shows I don't watch, that other people
Hmm.
watch. He was in something that was on Apple that I never watched,
I don't know.
but he hasn't really been doing much, and I think it'd be fun to bring him in.
No, I'm
So,
here for this. I'm so here for this.
also a thing I want to point out, and this also would include Glenn Powell. I feel like all the men they're described in the book, and then how we are casting them based on their descriptions. She has a type.
Sure. Yeah.
She has a type, I feel, because I feel like he also has a Jacob Elordi look to him, and then you know, these men with like puppy dog brown eyes, strong jaw lines, just absolutely gorgeous. It goes beyond well, they're Hollywood stars, of course they're gorgeous.
Mhm.
She has a type, which I think is so interesting because it's such a molded type when the real love of her life is a redheaded woman.
Yeah,
So like, I
absolutely.
think the stark contrast is like very fun because I was looking through my cast and I was like, do they all look like the same man in a different font? Sort of.
Sort of,
And
yeah.
that's okay. Okay. Next, we have our clever ex
Okay, well,
is Glenn
anyways,
Powell.
yeah.
Is Glenn Powell. Now, I already want to move Glenn Powell to Don Adler.
Mhm.
Like, I'm already like, I want to move him to Don Adler. I want to get rid of Jacob Elordi. I don't think he belongs in this cast. I think we need Robert Pattinson in this role. It has to
But
be
only that one version of him.
just one version of him. And he doesn't say much. Like, I really want them to
Yeah,
make Rex North's character very minimal dialogue. Like, he is all face.
yeah. Well, and I think that's the intention, right? Is like
Yeah.
they don't really have any sort of connection. Like they're not even really friends. They just happen to be
No,
co-stars and
this is a
have to
PR
sneak
stunt
around.
all the way.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Mm-hmm. We had a left crowd.
Yeah, that's fun.
We're in the same mindset, which we keep doing lately as we decided we wanted to do the same thing for birthday. So we're doing it together. Medieval times, here we come.
We spend a lot of time together.
We spend a lot of time together, so it does make sense. So yes, I had Glenn as clever Rex North because he's pretty, he cares about his career, very
Yeah.
similar. But I also noticed he is wearing a certain aptly named white tank top in this
Yes.
photo, and I
Yes.
feel he's our Don Adler. So
Yeah,
I
I agree.
would like to immediately.
Cool.
Sick.
Yeah, I'm so here
Okay,
for it.
amazing. I think it's like I just punched myself in the eye. Okay, next.
Harry, I can't wait to see your Harry. Oh my God. Okay.
My Harry, the brilliant, kind-hearted, tortured Harry Cameron, is Jonathan Groff. Now, if you are not,
I'm not.
if you're not a Broadway person or a Glee person, you will not know this man very well. He
Okay.
is a Broadway actor. He
Okay.
is gay.
Oh my God, Leah Michelle.
Um,
I just looked
his
him
best
up and he's
friend is the illiterate Leah Michelle. He has been
yeah.
straight up asked, like, can she read? And he was like, I am not going to speak to this. I chose him for so many reasons. He
Okay.
was, I think casting Harry Cameron was the hardest for me. And
Mhm.
then once I realized who I wanted, everything felt like it made sense. So if there's anyone that I like absolutely love, it is him. He is attractive,
Mhm.
can absolutely pass as a straight man. He has
Mhm.
before. He is in Spring Awakening, which is my favorite musical that I was like obsessed with when I was in high school. He is in Glee. His best friend is Leah Michelle. Leah Michelle herself has had many career troubles, lost the love of her life.
Mm.
He is that friend that was there for her. He's very well loved in the theater and queer community that
Mhm.
in a show, one, I think he should be on television more. Like, he hasn't really been in anything since Glee, and then he did Mindhunter on
Oh, okay.
Netflix.
Mhm.
It was
Mhm.
that show that was, like, exploring interviews with Ed Kemper
Mhm.
within the true crime, like, the crime syndicate. He hasn't been in anything since those, and he's such a good actor. He's so
Okay.
good, and he's so cute, and I love him. And if he turned into an alcoholic and something happened to him, and I just feel like my heart would break.
Mhm. Which is the
But I
intention of
also,
Harry Cameron.
yes,
Mhm.
but I also can see your choice as well. And I think with like aging wise is different too. I
Mhm.
believe that Jonathan Groff is in his early 40s, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
okay. So he's still a little older than
He's
like
Yes,
Aubrey
he's a
and
little
whatnot.
old, but he's got a baby face so that when they
Mhm.
meet when she's younger, it would still look like he's works for the studio and they know each other and he's an executive. And
Mhm.
then when he's older, he can also be older. I feel like if he grew facial hair, we could put glasses on him too. I just feel
So
like he could.
I was gonna say, I will concede to Jonathan Groff if we can have him wear glasses.
Yes, yes. I feel like he needs to have glasses, right? Like, I feel like Harry Cameron
Yeah.
has glasses.
Yeah, I
100%.
I agree.
100%. I see him as, like, in the early days, me not having them, and then as he gets older, like, he has glasses, and, like, you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, he's just sweet." Like, he's
He's
just
just a gay dad.
just a gay dad, and, like, if you look up any clips of him after this,
Mhm.
if you feel so inclined, he's such a good actor. He's in Hamilton. He plays King George in Hamilton,
Oh, okay. Mhm.
if you've seen it. So he's also very funny. There are some lines that Harry, I think, has that are very well delivered one-liners. He would be great at that too. So he's my favorite pick, I think, of the cast because I just love Jonathan Groff. Anyways, truly, when I was in high school and he was like, "I'm actually gay," I was like,
Well, no, I really like
"No."
this because Harry is such a dynamic character. Just like you get everything about Harry in the same way that you do like Evelyn. And
Yeah.
so it seems like he can handle all of the different things that he has to be able to deal with in the show. I like this choice.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Next, I have disappointing Max Gerard. I have Joseph Levitt, and I chose this photo of
Mhm, mhm. I like it. I like the choice.
he looks like he's levitating.
Mhm. Or
Joseph
trying
Gordon
to, but it's
levitating.
disappointing all of us.
He would be like pretentious and just strange. I was like, I thought the filmmaker was French. I knew he was a foreign filmmaker. I didn't really look into it to go back that far again. So I was like,
Mhm.
I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt is French. I know he can speak French. I believe he's French
Okay.
Canadian. So I know he can speak French. So that's where my brain was. But if he's an Italian filmmaker, then your guy. I think we should go with your guy. I don't care. I just chose him because he just looks like he could be pretentious and be
He
like,
definitely does look like he could be pretentious.
yeah. And
I don't think
would
he's foreign enough. And he has to be really sexual, and I don't get any of that from Joseph Gordon.
no, I agree. I agree. I agree. I still get like the kid from 10 Things I Hate About You. That's who he is in my brain. So this was my very splat, throw it at the wall. Cool, it's stuck.
Mhm.
Choice. I like your guy better. He's more art house. Makes sense. Now, this is where I fucked everything up. My agreeable Robert Jameson.
I can't wait to see this.
Oh no! Oh no, not this guy. Noel Fisher, because I was like, he's got to be Celia's brother, right? And then I was like, in my brain, I don't know why, I was like, I went backwards. I aged backwards. I aged in backwards. This is her last husband. And so I don't know why in my brain. So immediately, yes, it's Michael Fassbender. Check. Correct. Looks like Julianne Moore. 100%. He is cast. But I do like Shameless. So,
Okay, that is the only thing I can think of with Noel Fisher is
yeah.
Shameless. And
Yep.
so
I don't know anything else he's been in. None.
same, honestly, and trying to imagine his shameless character in the Seven Husbands universe is throwing me off.
He
But
would be like he would be like Ern Diaz and Don Adler combined somehow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't it's not
Oh no, he's
fair to Noel, right? To like
right.
have him so centralized as his shameless character. But
Right.
damn, that is how I view you. And I do agree that
100%.
Robert Jameson needs to be a little older.
Much
Um,
older.
but hilarious choice. I'm dying at. I think even if I had seen him, I would have been like, no, fuck this guy. Like I can't
No,
do it.
no, no.
Amazing.
This is when you went Michael Fassbender and I went, I fucked up. This is why. So he's out. Thank you, Noel Fisher. We appreciate you and hope you book more work so we can
You
think of you
deserve
as
it.
someone else.
As a better person.
Now,
Okay.
My
Mhm.
Celia St. James, as you can see, we both have Julianne Moore. So we locked her
Yeah.
in and we put her in a green outfit.
Very intentionally. Yes, we both did.
Intentionally had the green outfit. We had to.
Mhm,
And my young Celia St. James, again, I said she could be siblings with Sophie Turner. This is
mhm.
Phoebe Never,
Okay.
I think how you say her last name, from Bridgerton. She's from the first season of Bridgerton. Yeah, she's
I
the
believe she
the
did Bridgerton.
she's the main character in the first season. She's the diamond.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Okay, I really like this choice. I
Really?
like Phoebe a lot. Yeah, I really like Sophie Turner because I
Mhm.
know Sophie Turner has the range, right? Like I think
Yes.
Sophie Turner can do all of the really dramatic things that happen within this book. But I like Phoebe being like a lesser known actress. I think
Yeah.
she fits the like profile. Her and Aubrey together would be so fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm. And I
yeah, I like
as
this.
a part of the reason I chose her is because there's she's in and out and in and out for like the storyline. And I mean this in like the absolute best way towards Phoebe. She's a blank canvas
Mhm, mhm.
in which you can age her up, you can age her down, you can make her tomboy, you can make her glamour, you can she's got the emotional range. There's something about her in Bridgerton that was, while I love Bridgerton, she anyone could have played that role
Mhm.
and she did amazing. Like but she did great and brought life to it. And I think
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
just she was one that I knew pretty early on when I was like, I think I want to do this fan cast. That's
Mhm.
who I sort of clung to. She isn't doing much else. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
she did Bridgerton and I feel like she was like very pigeonholed into this period piece. And so
Mhm.
I want to move her to a different period. And I think
Yeah.
she really resembles Julianne Moore as well.
Yeah,
Just
I would agree. I would love to see that range from her. Like you said, she's kind of pigeonholed in Bridgerton, and so
yeah.
I don't know how her like drama would be, but I would love to see it. And so I like this as a role that might push her further into her acting abilities. I think she fits the aesthetic. And yeah, I agree that is somewhat of a blank canvas that can be manipulated in any way.
Yeah. And I like I don't want it to come out across as like she's boring. She has no actor
No, no, I
qualities
just
to her,
don't
but
think we've
like
had the chance to see it. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. It's like we haven't seen anything and like she popped into like the second season of Bridgerton as like her same character and she was like, "Oh, the Duke is away," or whatever. And I was like, "Ma'am,
Yeah.
like do something else." So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad you like her. Her and Aubrey Plaza. I know that like definitely an age difference in real life, but again, I don't feel like Aubrey Plaza looks her age literally at all.
Well, there is also an age difference. Evelyn is a little bit older than Celia because
Yeah,
Celia like
Cecilia.
comes in as like the new
Right.
hot young actress, and so
Right.
Evelyn feels threatened by her. So I don't
Yeah.
think that that's necessarily an issue in it. I like the idea of doing someone a little less known because we do have
Mhm.
some heavy hitters in some of the other roles.
Yeah, and I think maybe for Celia as top billing, you maybe wouldn't want the actress who is playing Celia to be a top billing celebrity because then you're gonna be like, well, that character is really important. And for people who don't know the story, maybe it would be better if they're like, oh yeah, that person's in it. That's cool. And then they realize how important they are.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I agree.
from a marketing standpoint, which is a department I don't work in. Okay. And finally,
Yeah.
James Grant as Jeremy Pope.
Oh, interesting.
Do you know who Jeremy Pope is? I know him from that Hollywood show I was talking about. This is the character
Okay.
that I have brought over. He's too young, I think. in the time period of when the car
Mhm.
accident were to happen.
Mhm.
I think, oh, look at his age. I think
He's
he's actually,
32.
yeah, he's like actually very young, but
Mhm.
he has played these older characters for some reason.
Mm.
And like in Hollywood, he plays like a young hotshot who works in the industry. And I think that's like where my brain went to that when
Okay.
she's talking about him. So I think if there's ever like flashbacks of him, he would be
Mhm.
great. But I
Yeah.
don't think he is the right choice. I think your choice for James is much better, much more age appropriate, and actually like looks like they could be related to Monique. They could easily play father daughter. The vibe was Jeremy Pope-esque Hollywood
Yeah,
actor.
I feel like literally if it was younger, I think this would be perfect.
Yeah.
He
And
looks
he is
so
gangster.
familiar. Yeah.
He's in
Well, I just
I
looked up his IMDb and I have not seen anything that he's in. And so I don't understand
think I
how
know
he
him.
looks so familiar to me, but he's got a really familiar face, which is interesting.
He he won a GLAAD award, the GLAAD Media Stephen S. Kolzak Award. He's won an
Okay.
Emmy for outstanding lead actor in a limited or anthology series or movie, and that was for Hollywood. He's been in Pose. Did you ever watch Pose? It's very good. I know him from Broadway. The Normal Heart, One Night in Miami. He's in that. That's like really it. He hasn't done a lot of film and television, and I am so Broadway girly that I just know him from The Temptations. What was that called? Ain't Too Proud. There we go. Yeah, the musical Ain't Too Proud, and it's very much an inside look at The Temptations, which I
Okay.
loved when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I loved The Temptations. Oh shit, that was a good one. I should have put in for Music League last week. So that's my James Grant, and I think he's also incorrect. I think your choices would still be the correct choice because they both really fit I mean, Michael Fassbender looks like he could be related to Julianne Moore. So
Yeah, absolutely.
like a lot. Like
I think we did a great mix of both of our casts. We're like pretty even in the people that we felt were appropriate and put up some good contenders for stuff. And I feel like ultimately we're landing on the same choices we agree on, which is better.
I agree. Okay, this is my final cast. I think we already know our Don Adler is gonna move. So I'm gonna take this guy down and stop sharing my screen.
Mhm.
And we will go to the drawing board, which is not a real board, it's just metaphorical. I want to go through it. So I think young Evelyn is Aubrey Plaza. That
Mhm.
feels correct for both of us. Excellent choice. I literally cannot believe I didn't even think of her. Which kind of proves the point of the white passing.
Absolutely. I get
Probably
that.
because she hasn't played roles like that.
Mhm.
Okay, so young Evelyn, Aubrey Plaza. Because of that, we will go with Rosanna Arquette, correct?
Mhm. Yeah, I like that.
They're perfect. I also feel like how Rosanna Arquette looks is how I pictured Evelyn, older Evelyn in my head.
Mm.
I read it thinking of Salma Hayek, but now with the time period that it's supposed to be, I think that's what she would look like. She hasn't lost her beauty. She's still stunning,
Mhm.
but she has aged.
Yeah, definitely is like gonna be on the older side of it all. And then honestly, just from a real world standpoint, let's give Rosanna Arquette some more work. She fucking deserves it.
She
Like,
deserves it. She's like single-handedly holding up the protection of women in Hollywood. Not
like, come
single-handedly. She's
on.
got people with her, but damn, like,
But she was a
you
good
know,
start to all of that. Yeah.
she deserves it. Please, ma'am, be in this series that actually is fictionalized, focusing on real things happening because people don't know how else to address things in media.
Yeah.
Haha, Hollywood.
Nah.
Our Monique, you conceded, which I thank you so much. I did not
Mhm.
know that you worked on the bold type. I'm
Mhm.
That's crazy to me. That's one of my favorite shows. It was one of my
It's
absolute
a good
favorite shows.
one.
I'm so
Yeah.
sad it went away. Monique is Aisha D as Monique because she is basically the same character as the Bull Type.
Yeah, absolutely.
Typecast. Sorry, you just play a badass businesswoman,
It's
creative.
not a bad role to be typecasted too.
No, she did really good at it.
Yeah, yeah.
Our Celia St. James was an immediate lock-in of Julianne
Mm-hmm.
Moore.
Yep.
And our young Celia, I'm good with either.
I like yours. I think
Okay.
Sophie has proven the range, but I would like to give your gal her chance. Yeah,
Yeah,
to prove that because I do really like her.
we will do Phoebe Denevere. I
Yeah.
have to learn how to pronounce her last name. I have no idea. Okay, Ernie Diaz. Again,
I like your
I'm good
Ernie.
with
Yeah.
either. Okay, so we'll go with
Yeah.
Christian Navarro for Ernie
Mhm.
Diaz. Your Don Adler, Glenn
Yeah,
Powell.
gotta go Glenn for Dawn.
Gotta go Glenn for Don. I mean, that's spot on. It's so real.
Yeah.
Also, when this comes out, if it's not him, I think we should write a letter and be like, excuse me, this is such a
Complaint.
huge missed
Absolutely.
opportunity. Who is in your casting department?
We need to talk to them. We did a
Yeah,
podcast.
excuse me, we did a podcast and he is correct. This is
Mhm,
correct.
mhm.
Mick Riva, you said you wanted to keep my choice.
Yeah, because I have Jacob, and I agree that I don't think he fits into this entire ensemble.
Okay. Mick Riva, we are casting as Diego Bonetta because he hasn't been in anything for a million years and this boy needs work. So we're casting him.
Mhm.
You're welcome. Rex North. Rex North has got to be Robert Pattinson. Edward Cullen himself. He just
Mhm.
can't do the face in this one. Or he can. And it'll be great.
He doesn't gotta talk. He's just gotta look pretty. That's all
He
we
just
care
got
about.
like and Robert Pattinson's good at that. He just needs to be like a little schmoozy, broody Hollywood
Yeah,
man.
and that's kind of like the role that he's trying to put himself in, like trying to shed himself from Twilight and
Yeah.
do these like more serious things. And I think it would be a really funny crossover to have him as this different role than he's used to. So it's like pushing him, but it's this guy who like essentially pretends to be serious. I'm here for that.
I love it. Yeah, because he's just a goof. I actually really did enjoy the new Batman, where him as Batman. But I also was like, you're just Edward Cullen in a bat suit.
Yeah.
I can't
You're
separate
taking
that.
on the pre-vampire state.
Yeah, I was like, "Ooh, I don't know. Yeah, vampires and bats. A little too close to home, guys. Like, whoa. Talk to their casting department, too. Okay, Max Gerard. We're going to go Italian gentleman.
Okay, yeah, I'm here for
Okay.
Luca
Luca, what was his last name?
Marinelli.
Luca Marinelli, who is a
Mhm.
quite unknown but very art house Italian director who seems very sexual and would crush it. And we would be like, who's that? He's hot. And then he's gone
Yeah,
from the story.
just the hot Italian director that wants to sexualize you and then gets mad at you for not wanting to sexualize him back.
It's a hot picture of him, too, with the black and white and the
Oh,
shaggy
yeah.
hair. He's just moody and... This whole book is full of moody men, but it's actually about women.
It's just incredible, yeah.
I love it. Taylor Jenkins Reid, man, you're a great author, and I applaud you. Never read anything else by her at all.
I haven't either, but I've heard good things.
Maybe we'll have to pick up another one. Okay, Harry Cameron. We
Yes, for
like
sure.
Jonathan
Yeah,
Groff.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, absolutely. He has to wear glasses,
Jonathan
but
Groff.
yes, Jonathan Groff.
If he has glasses. Okay,
Mhm.
as Harry Cameron, our Robert Jameson has to be Michael Fassbender
Mhm.
because he's the correct choice, and also I'm an idiot. James Grant is your choice, our lovely man from Hacks who needs to come back for this season because
Mhm.
I need you to save the season. Please remind me of his name.
Carl Clemens Hopkins.
Carl Clemens Hopkins. Amazing. We will be putting together a full graphic of our full cast, placing it here in the episode where you can take a look at yourself, or you can check on socials the last day of the week before a new episode. We post the full fan cast. You get 1 week to listen. then watch with graphics before I post them on the internet. And that's it. That's our
Yeah.
full and final cast for Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This show is supposed to actually come out real soon, and hopefully I'll be posting the actual casting. And if we get any right, you and I are going to effing bar and treating ourselves to a dinner.
I have so much faith that at least one of these is going to be correct.
I really think Julianne Moore.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. That's the one that I think has like almost no chance of being anybody else.
Right. And I think Jacob Elordi will weasel his way into this somewhere
I hope not.
because he just seems to do that.
We did both cast him for something, so
We did.
clearly like had him in mind for it, but
He's got the
in
look
going
for it.
through it's
Yeah.
so hard to truly place him in any of these spots, I think.
Yeah, he's like not he the vibes are right and the roles are too specific for him to be placed in one comfortably, I think.
Yeah,
That
I
makes
agree.
sense. I also think Glenn Powell has a really good chance of showing up.
Yeah, me
Whether
too.
they might even be like, actually, he's Robert Jameson and like red in his
Oh
hair
yeah.
or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
something. Sydney Sweeney, call into the podcast and let us know.
Let us know. Amazing.
Yeah. Sydney Sweeney is not someone I will be casting in anything on purpose. Not that I don't like her as a person. I don't know her, but I don't think her acting skills are amazing. So I'll let Real Hollywood place her where they want her, and I will keep her far away from my fan cast. If you want to lose in a fan cast, put Sydney Sweeney in something. Just kidding. If you listen to this,
I
I'm sorry.
definitely, I'm not gonna lie, thought about her for young Evelyn just because
Mhm.
it's like big boobs, blonde hair. I was
Right.
like, Sydney for sure. But then I was like,
100%.
she doesn't fall into this. This isn't
Nah.
the right role for
Mm-mm.
her.
But she's got the bombshell one where you're like, and I mean, that's just like a testament to how Evelyn is written and portrayed in this book is
Yeah,
this is who
absolutely.
she is. It's all about her. I mean, the book cover is her like on it, you know, it's like
Mhm.
all about body and all about how she looks and stuff. So, but I think Aubrey Plaza, she's the right choice. I don't know if I think they'll go with somebody they don't know.
Yeah, I would agree. There was a girl that plays Selena in the
In
newer Selena biopic. I was going back and forth between her and Aubrey.
It's not J-Lo, right?
No, just imagine I can't remember J-Lo's name.
But, J-Lo could play older Evelyn eventually, depending on how long this
She
fucking
definitely
takes.
could.
She could.
I don't like her fucking. I don't like her vibes, and so I don't want her in my
Anywhere
Evelyn.
near this Evelyn. Yeah, I agree. I don't like her vibes either. I think it screams midlife crisis right now. And that's where we're at with J-Lo, going back and forth with the marriages and her, this is me now, and
Yeah,
I
I'm
could
just
speak on
not
that
here
for an
for it.
hour. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
I could speak on that for an hour, but we're out of
Okay.
time, and I'm going to let you go so you can enjoy the last couple hours before we have to go to work tomorrow. But it's a short week for us. We're out. So as we go on our road trip. But
Yeah.
thanks for hanging out with me on Sunday. And after I just saw you at the Ren Fair yesterday, and then I hung out with you now, and then we work tomorrow. I won't see you, but then I'll see you on Tuesday, and then I'll see you on Wednesday, and I'll see you.
And then we're driving together. And yeah, thank you
get
so
out.
much for having me on your podcast. This was very fun. I don't typically lean into doing these types of things, and I got a lot of joy out of doing it. So thank you.
Well, thank you for stepping out of your comfort zone and joining me and being a good friend in my new podcasting, fantasy bookish journey. I appreciate it. And we had the same brain on a lot of these, and I love that this is a book that we could both be like, yeah, fuck yeah, this book, do this one, and it's in the works for something. So thanks. I would say, where can people find you on the internet? But they're strangers, so they can fuck off.
And I don't want to be found, so stay away.
And yeah. And if you listen to this and you hear that, we work at Sony, don't contact us.
Don't come for me.
Don't do
I
that.
can't do anything
And
for you. I'm sorry.
we can't do anything for artists, okay? We're not on the creative side. We don't do anything cool. Don't send us your demo. Don't send us your mixtape release. There's nothing we can do. You can send it to Tony Scoodle.
I love that.
I'll just
So
beep it. Yeah. Thanks. That's the end of FanCastic 7 Husbands, and we'll see you next week for a Court of Mist and Fury. So, great. Not you, but the listeners. You
Have fun with your dragon.
There's no dragons in that one, but
Clearly not the right person for that book.
but there's fae and men with there's men with bat wings, so
Similar.
we have. It's like so weird just talking about fantasy books out loud because it's like, am I mentally well? The answer's no, but there's a lot of other people who like it too, so it makes me feel better. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna let you go. Okay, bye, Tim.
Okay, bye.
If you enjoyed this episode of FanCastic, let us know by leaving us a comment, liking, reviewing, and subscribing to us on YouTube, Spotify, Twitch, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, or wherever else you listen to us. And don't forget to head to our Instagram and let us know what you think of our FanCasts. All FanCast graphics are listed on our Instagram, so sound off in the comments and let us know if you liked our choices, hated our choices, or have a better choice. As always, thank you for listening.